Today, I'm going to share what I learned from losing 10 pounds too quickly. Last year, at 52 years old, I decided to embark on a journey to lose the next 10 pounds. I was still at an unhealthy weight and was pre-diabetic, even though I had lost 30 pounds. But no matter what I did, I found myself at a 6-month plateau and I just couldn't seem to lose any more weight. During those 6 months, I just kept going up and down the same 5 pounds. I was so frustrated and I thought, am I ever going to be able to lose any more weight? Maybe I had just reached the lowest I could go. Instead, I decided I was not going to accept that and was determined that I was going to get that scale moving again. I also knew I needed some help, somebody like a weight loss expert who would be able to help me figure out exactly what I was doing wrong. And then I came across Trainer Joe on YouTube. In his videos, he promised quite confidently that he could help anyone lose 10 pounds in 3 weeks. Now, I had my doubts because I'm 5 foot 2 inches and it was getting harder to lower my calories to the point where I could lose weight. I was also getting close to my goal, and I wondered, is it really realistic for me to lose that much weight in 3 weeks? But I decided I'll give it a go. What did I have to lose? So I signed up for the program, and lo and behold, I did it. I actually lost 10 pounds in 3 weeks and 1 day. I was pleasantly stunned. As soon as I shared my success with my viewers on YouTube, I started seeing the question that I think captures a fear most of us have around losing weight quickly. One viewer asked, "Won't you just gain all that weight back as soon as you go back to normal?" A very reasonable question. We've all probably heard that if you lose weight too fast, most people just gain it back. Well, I'm here today to tell you that's a lie. Not only did I not gain that weight back, but I actually went on to lose another 8 pounds using exactly what I learned in that group. Unfortunately, a lot of people do gain their weight back, sometimes over and over. And for a long time, I was one of them. So I want to share with you the reasons I've observed for why people, including me, end up in a yo-yo diet cycle, and exactly how I fixed it. First of all, it's not related to how fast you lose weight. We can learn why we regain our weight by looking more closely at my viewer's question. Won't you just gain all the weight back as soon as you go back to normal? The answer is absolutely yes. Gaining the weight back is caused 100% by a return to your normal, which means going back to the exact lifestyle, eating habits, and environment that caused you to be overweight. The reason Ozempic helped Oprah Winfrey lose weight is that ultimately she ate less than her normal, similar to anyone else that starts using Ozempic. Think about it. If you treat your weight loss journey like an on-again, off-again endeavor, and once you reach a certain weight, decide you're going to return back to your old habits, it is highly likely you will go back up to where you were before you started, plus some. If you have an end date to your discipline, there will be an end date to your results. But if you treat your fast weight loss as a kickstart, knowing you will continue what you've started, the weight will stay off and you can go on to lose even more. The key is changing to a mindset of maintenance versus normal. Once you've lost the weight, you'll need to figure out how to maintain what you've lost. For me, that meant a couple of things. First, I had to accurately identify my maintenance calories for my new lower weight, which were far less than what I was eating when I was 45 pounds heavier. However, they were higher than what I was able to eat when I was losing the weight. The way I figured out my maintenance was using the keto calculator, the easiest online calorie calculator in my opinion. Just by adding in a few details like my height, weight, gender, activity level, I was able to quickly see how much I could eat to maintain my weight. Another tool I used to validate that is the information I got from my V-Sync scale, which gives me my basal metabolic rate. I compare both of those numbers with each other, and from that, I have a pretty solid benchmark. That was my starting point. And then I played a little game of hot and cold. For the next couple of days or week, I monitored my weight daily to see if it's changing quickly or significantly, checking to see if I was getting warmer or colder to my target. If my weight went up, I would decrease calories slightly. If it went down, I could choose to stay there or increase slightly. If I stayed the same, I knew I'd hit the sweet spot and I'd won the game. The second thing I needed to work on was a maintenance mindset. I had to get used to and accept lower calories and a smaller amount of food. We've created a lot of habits around eating that make us feel comfortable, satisfied. And so when we stop cutting back, our brain really wants to get back to where we're used to. The new portions look way too small and encourage a lacking feeling. To counteract this, I started shifting to smaller dishes and practiced making that a habit. Now, it's very rare that I use a full-size plate anymore. Did you know that in the 70s and even before, more people naturally maintained a healthy weight? One of the reasons is that their plates and by extension their portion sizes were quite a bit smaller. Even McDonald's had smaller burgers, fries, and a Coke was only a treat. They also didn't go back for second helpings. Their brains and eyes were used to smaller. And because of that, you don't see many overweight people in your family photos from the 70s. We can get used to anything. We simply have to choose to do it. In the beginning, I stopped keeping tempting foods in the house with the rule that I could drive to anywhere at any time to quench my craving. If I wanted an Oreo Blizzard at Dairy Queen, I gave myself permission. This created some ingenious friction between me and my temptations, but also kept me from feeling restricted. The funny thing is, when I would crave some chocolate or ice cream or fast food, after a while, I stopped going out to get it because it was just too inconvenient. For once, my own laziness worked for me instead of against me. Fast forward a couple of weeks or a month, and I had almost entirely stopped having those cravings. Now, I feel in control of my eating, and I'm reaping the benefits of maintaining my quick weight loss. Another big reason I didn't gain the weight back is because I stayed low carb most of the time. It's not the low carb per se, but the real key benefits of it. I wish I had known this earlier, what actually happens when you start eating keto. It would have saved me years of being overweight. When you raise your calories back up to maintenance, the source of those calories matters somewhat more than the number, especially if you're a 50-year-old woman going through hormonal shifts like I was. I say somewhat because if you eat too many calories of anything, you will gain weight. But if you raise your calories by adding back processed sugars and heavy starches, your weight will definitely go up in two ways. First of all, you will gain some water weight immediately. Anytime I eat a high-carb meal, my weight goes up 2 pounds in the next 24 hours like clockwork. It's a given. But since I know this now, I don't worry about it anymore. I just accept it. As soon as I go back to my normal low-carb eating, the weight comes back down every time within a day or two. The second reason your weight will go up is that the higher carbs will spike your blood sugar, trigger more intense hunger, and make it nearly impossible to keep your calories low. This is exactly why I kept gaining and losing the same 5 pounds before I changed to a keto lifestyle. By staying low carb 95% of the time, I avoid those spikes, and experience much less hunger and food noise. Exactly the same as what Ozempic does, but without the cost, needles, or questionable side effects. I feel more satisfied, have better self-control, and maintain my weight loss. So let's go back to that viewer's question. If you go back to normal, will you gain the weight back? Yes, guaranteed almost 100% of the time, which is why so many people do. But the lie isn't that the weight will inevitably come back. The lie is the idea that you have no control over it. You are not a victim of your metabolism, your genetics, or even your age. You are a victim of your own bad habits, just like I was. If you would like to learn more about how I lost 45 pounds over 50 years old when nothing else was working, I walk through it all in this video right here. Good luck.